Savage Cut. Real talk, no filter on Savaged Unfiltered. Savaged.
COVID is still an experimental drug, just like any other drug that's on the pharmaceutical market today. That's why people are dying from it, because it's not effectively created. It's not effectively done yet. The process is still running its course, Sage.
Okay, do you know why a side effects still occur?
I just labeled why.
No, well, side effects will never be fully gotten rid of.
You're not a scientist, Sage. Yes, they will. When we get to that point in our society, okay? When we get to a point in our society where we can create effective, accurate drugs, okay? Which I do believe that man can effectively create a drug, whether it's pill form or vaccine form through sometimes liquid, right?
Yeah.
I do believe that these drugs can be effectively created where all the ingredients match up in our DNA gene pool. Because when you take drugs, and the reason why you get counter reactions is because there are certain ingredients that should have been added into that mixture, creating.
Well, there's
drug.
no way to do that because we're not all the same.
Yes, there is a way.
No, because we're not
there
all the
is a
same.
way, but you have to test these drugs.
On who? On who? Test them on who? Test them on who?
You have to test
on who?
Back in the day, we used to test a lot of drugs, and I think we still do to this day with lab rats.
Okay, but I'm not a lab rat. So how are you going to get them to work 100%?
I understand that, but lab rats.
You've talked. Now my turn. How are you going to get 100% unless you test on humans? You can't get 100%. You've never tested it on humans. You test on lab rats. And you think that when you test on a lab rat, you're going to get 100% no side effect? We're not all the same. We're not all the same.
We are all the same, whether you believe spiritually or biblically.
No, we're not.
Every creature. No,
you got hair?
We are.
Do you have hair?
Do I have hair? Yes, I do.
I don't.
Hair. You have hair too.
No,
you either shave.
I'm bald. Yes. I'm going bald. Are you going bald?
Sage, do you have a beard right now on your face?
On my head, you are not going bald, and I'm going bald. We are not the same.
You have a beard on your face right now. That's facial hair, right? That's the same type of hair.
I am going bald on my head. You are not. We are not the same. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Now you're talking about something entirely different.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
If you want me to comment yes or no,
we the same.
Here's the problem. You're gonna have to have
you
comment
can't
on
even respond to a simple question. The answer is no. We're not the same. My genetics force me to go bald. Yours don't. You can't even answer a simple question.
Because you want me to answer it on a scale of where you're going at.
What color are your eyes?
You're missing the entire.
I'm not missing the entire thing. Do you want to know why I know this? I've lived with this for over 20 years with my wife. Over 20 years. I'm telling you what I'm talking about. You don't have to tell me what I'm talking about. I'm telling you. She's lived with. You going to let me finish before you tell me what I'm talking about it? Because I don't need you to say I'm talking about it when I'm trying to talk about it. She has lived with taking probably 20 different medications a day for the past 20 years. She's been committed 6 times. She has a chemical imbalance that the minute she stresses, she bleeds from the nose and from other things. People have different other effects. I have diabetes. You don't. Affect me differently because of my diabetes than it's going to affect you. She takes drugs right now. She's surgery. She can't have kids. she still has to take birth control, because if she stops taking birth control, it affects her hormones and she bleeds. So the birth control that normally stops pregnancy prevents her from basically bleeding. So people are not the same. So for you to create something that is never going to have side effects is not possible.
Okay, let me get a little scientific with you here on this, okay?
Please.
Because I may. All right, let me answer some of the stuff that you just stated here. Of course, people are not the same with when it comes to. Hold on, when it comes to characteristics. You don't have hair on the top of your head versus I have hair on the top of my head. You may have thicker facial hair versus with me, I have thinner facial hair, right? My hair is thicker than my facial hair, right? That's characteristics of genes. I get it, Sage. But what I'm referring to with my argument here, with we are the same here on Earth with any type of creature, is we are the same. We may look different, but we are the same. We all have nerves. We all have blood. We all have skin tissue. We all have bone structure.
Yes.
We are similar in a lot of ways.
Similar.
A lot of people.
Not the same.
A lot of
similar.
Not the same, but we are similar. Okay. We are. Some people say that we evolved from fish and all these type of theories. I mean, I would have to challenge them on that. I'd have to look a little further into it and see how we evolved. But which does make sense with the breathing patterns. I looked at fish breathing patterns versus our breathing patterns, and they're very, very similar in a lot of ways. But what I'm trying to say is, where was I with the reactions? Oh yeah, with the reactions with modern medication. The reactions you're going to get are with certain ingredients not being added in. Okay. Now, will medicine ever be effectively created? Yes, we'll get there. Maybe not in our lifetime. Not in my lifetime, not in your lifetime. We're in 2024, folks. I mean, if this recording is still up in about another 700 years from now, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm most likely dead by now if you're listening on Sage.
Most likely. But, never. Go ahead.
So to our future audience that are listening 600 years from now, I'm doing this on purpose, folks. I'm not being silly.
No, I know what you mean.
I do believe in that type of scientific background. But when you create something effectively, it works. We have created things that are effective in our but
effective has side effects. Effective has side effects on some people. Effective is based on the amount of people that it helps versus the amount of people that it hurts. Correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you're always going to have
the reaction that you're getting. The reaction that you're getting when you take things are linked to what also you put in your body, or the other chemicals,
or the hormones in which your body produces that you can't control.
Well, it doesn't produce that because of the chemicals that you put in your body. Your body is like a vessel. It's like an automobile or a ship, right? If you don't fuel that ship with fuel, if you don't fuel your car with gas or diesel, what's going to happen? That car that's operating, or that ship that's operating through the motor, right? And all the little instruments that's working, the computers and all that stuff that's working in that vessel or automobile, it's going to crash. It may crash, but it also may show reactions. What's the reactions it may show? Overheating, smoking. We're very similar to even mechanical parts. We're very similar to these type of things I just mentioned, vessels and automobiles. We're the same.
How do you?
Hold on. Savage, why use that word same? We have the same type of brain that's like a computer that a car has. We have the same type of engine, our heart, our organs, our liver, all that. So when you add chemicals in your body, like a car or a vessel.
Do you think there's already chemicals in your body that
natural chemicals? Yes, of course.
Hormones, like let's say you use hormones. Different types of hormones and different type of chemicals that are in your body that some people have more or less of, which make us different.
That's natural. That's natural chemicals.
So those natural chemicals that you have.
Lipnoids. Yes. Of course.
So those natural chemicals that you have, if imbalanced, some people have an imbalance in these chemicals, correct?
Right.
Okay. So because of that imbalance, that is truly what makes us different. What you're talking about is the fact that the outer shell of this car is completely different. It looks the same as any other car. But the problem is the inner workings of this car is massively different per car. Massively different. The chemicals in my body that function, that do everything from process information from my brain, that tell me that I'm hungry, that tell me the actual chemicals that are functioning in some people's brains. Some of them keep people from having psychotic episodes. Sometimes it drives people into anxiety attacks and panic attacks. You have to look
at it on a scientific phase. You're looking at more on a characteristic phase to understand.
Michael, Savage on Spotify.
If you're going to look at it as a characteristic side,
no, this isn't characteristics. The fact that chemicals in my body would give me the difference between fight or flight. Those are the chemicals in which my body force me that if I'm backed into a corner, can I handle stress or do I break down? Does my body produce too much adrenaline that I can't function, or does it not produce enough adrenaline? That is a scientific base.
How was your body? Yeah, how was your body tackling that before you started experiencing that situation?
My body's constantly functioning on chemicals that are telling my brain to do things and telling my body to do things.
I'm asking, let me use for an example, okay? Sure. So you can understand where I'm going with this. When a person's just not born with diabetes or cancer or all that. They're not. You can ask simple scientists that study this. You can ask simple people that study.
Are you saying babies aren't born with different diseases?
No one is born with that. If they are born with that, it's the defects that are going into that baby, into that womb, with the mother injecting the toxins into her body, then go into the baby.
Wait a minute. No,
if the woman,
you're telling me that a baby that is born with some type of disease is only because the woman did it.
Of course.
So what if the woman didn't do any of that, and the baby is born with a disease like that?
The human anatomy doesn't work that way.
What are you talking about?
Go back to our early forms of humanity, when women were having babies out of the fucking cave. Okay, now people back then, in my personal opinion, were more healthier than they are now because of the reach of chemicals and
what era are you talking about? Caveman era? You said
I'm using that for example.
No, I'm just asking. Is that so? They lived until like 25. They died they weren't living.
They died at that age. Yes, the lifespan was only 25, 30 years old because of the type of society that they lived through. Of course, it was more apex type of predators back then. I mean, we were at the top of the food chain for most of these predators back then. Sure, of course, we didn't have things to defend ourselves like guns and knives and certain types of vehicles and technology. Of course, I give you that. But what I'm trying to say is, even though they had shorter lifespans because of more animals and vicious type of predators and creatures back then, they still lived healthier because they didn't have they didn't have in the palm of their hands medication. Alcohol existed back then, but it was used for other purposes to, natural alcohol. When I say alcohol, folks, because alcohol is looked differently now than it was back then. You actually had natural alcohol from the earth, just like you have now. But the alcohol that you have now, the drink or even to put stuff on your arm, that's laced with other chemicals. The alcohol back then, they didn't have all that. They didn't have other chemicals that they laced it with. When you do put it on your skin, yeah, it'll clear up a rash or something like that. I'll give you that. But after a while, you're getting the reaction from the end result from it.
So I'm trying to let me because I deal with stress. I can deal with stress very well, even under stressful situations in the Coast Guard. That I can handle things. I deal with stress very, very well.
Sure, I know I'm throwing a lot out to you, but some people will understand.
Hang on, I see people who cannot handle stress. And obviously soldiers can handle different stuff, but I have seen people in the Coast Guard that they cannot handle stress. Their brains freeze up. They literally freeze up. I have been underway doing a search and rescue in the nighttime in cold ass water, pulling a huge ship off of the break wall in Massachusetts, where there was 3 on a boat, and we had to get this line, and literally one of this person when a wave hit, and it's called a knockdown. So the side of the boat knocked down, you grab it. She went into a complete frozen panic, literally could not move. How do you explain that? You're telling me that that's because of her parents and the chemicals her parents took? Or is that because of the chemicals in her brain processing the information that she's dealing with?
Well, now you're talking about poor training. That would be poor training on her behalf, because she wasn't proper, or she might have been trained properly, but it's just poor training.
So it has nothing to do with the chemicals in her brain that stopped her, that prevented. Because it's very difficult to know that shit's going to happen, because at some point you don't know until it happens. Like let me give you another example.
Because you could take somebody entirely different, just like her, and if they were properly trained, they wouldn't react to that.
They wouldn't. So it has nothing to do with the chemicals in the brain and the situation they're in. It's poor training.
No, because our brain was designed for survival traits.
Okay,
we were
so
designed for all that.
Let me ask another question. My wife, after we had a situation that we had to put down some of our animals, she snapped and could not remember that she was married to me. She couldn't remember the whole process. She couldn't remember any of it. Her brain and the chemicals in her brain literally shut her brain down in regards to that whole situation. We went to the hospital, explained to the doctor. They did some, of course, x-rays and stuff like that to make sure she didn't have a brain injury or whatever. And eventually her amnesia came back. Is that poor training?
I can't comment on that because I don't know her.
Well, you're saying that type of situation that your brain stops functioning with chemicals.
No, I stopped there because what I was about to say is I can't comment on that, and the reason why I can't comment on your wife or wherever your significant other is because I don't know her background of medication that she's been on prior to that and after that. The medication does play a big fact on.
All right, I have another one. Let's say people who have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. I know combat veterans that have gotten post-traumatic stress disorder. They come back, they don't even realize that they have it. But when you get into these situations, you're put in this situation, your brain produces chemicals, too much chemicals here, not enough chemicals there, and stuff like that, that you have post-traumatic stress disorder, right? It affects you.
Yeah.
What in your thought process, how does that happen?
Well, it could happen on a lot of different reasons. I got to close it up here because I'm going over my time here. I got to be committed to other things here. But as I close it up with this, there's a lot of reasons behind that.
Michael Gardner, Uncut Raw, and savaged.
Or something like that. But in your thought process, what's going on in the brain?
Not necessarily that, because people handle things differently, right? Exactly. Survival is differently, and it handles it differently through different types of backgrounds. Maybe possibly that soldier had a bad upbringing, and the flashbacks are coming from the upbringing. The brain works in so much crazy different types of aspects.
This all stems from babies are not born with any type of disease or issues. They're not born that way. So in your thought process, a baby is perfect.
They're not born that way if they were born in a natural state. Yeah, if they were born without any type of chemicals going in their body from the mother, including alcohol, drugs, smoking, etc.
So when a mother doesn't do any of drugs or alcohol and has that, what is like if a baby's perfect, right? So it has no disease, and I don't know how far you take this because obviously I'm bald, you're not. So I don't know what my mom did to cause me to lose my hair during birth, so that I could have hair, right? So now we're looking at disease. So you're saying that every disease,
Sage. Yeah. So you're trying to tell me. Yeah, I'm listening. But as I'm saying that, yeah. So a little background story of me, of my family.
Yeah.
90% of my family has died from cancer.
Okay.
90%. If that's at a 90% scale, I should be dead right now then.
Well, no, because you could have it, but the cancer that you have.
Oh, no, I don't have it. I get screened every 6 months. I don't have it.
Okay.
I don't have it. So why I don't have it is because it's cancer is created through the chemicals of medication.
So what changed with your mom that she stopped taking those chemicals before you were born?
I'm going to say that again.
What changed? Everybody has died of cancer, right? What changed?
My mother obtained lupus and cancer later in life because my mother was a pill popper at the age of 30 on up. My mother died at the age of 45 through lupus and cancer because of the medication and
so how old are you?
Alcohol.
How old are you?
Heavy amounts of alcohol. Go ahead.
How old are you?
I'm not going to discuss that. It doesn't matter how old I am.
So let's say the issue is that your mom passed away at a young age. So, right. And most of the people in your family have cancer. 9%, right? Your numbers.
Yes. So they had obtained the cancer through what I had just mentioned on the show here.
Okay, so all
cancer, just like any other, even diabetes, you could obtain diabetes even through sources of food that you eat.
Absolutely, I agree with that. But the issue is that a cancerous mutation of inside your body. What you're saying is it's because of the drug she was taking. Even though 90%, all of them are doing that.
It mutated with her. Yes, when you develop cancer, the chemicals from the pill, usually pills, sometimes liquid, but a lot of people take the pill. It's convenient, swallow it. You're right. With a glass of water, you're done. The pill,
Savaged and Joe on Spotify.
It mutates with your red blood cells.
So what drugs is this? Like any drugs?
And it mutates. It creates bubbles of gas and explodes until it creates another cell.
What drugs is this? What drugs is this?
I'm sorry.
What drugs? Any drugs?
Any drugs.
Okay. Yeah, so if you're taking, let's say, oxycodone, if you're overdoing oxycodone, that oxycodone eventually gives you cancer.
Eventually, it will. Yes. Depends on how your body breaks down some of that. It depends on how much your body breaks it down. Just like any other food, like when some people break down the food a lot quicker. We use the term high metabolism, low metabolism. You look like you're heavier than me, so your metabolism might be a little slower than mine.
I'm definitely heavy.
It just depends on how your body breaks it down. I can't tell you when you're going to get the disease, but you're eventually going to get the disease. But I'm going to have to wrap it up.
Yeah. Thanks for swinging in. You're allowed to swing in anytime you want. This is Savage Unfiltered. Make sure you check him out. And on X. Where are you at X?
You guys could follow me.
Well, what's your website? Your website's best bet.
Yeah. I was going to say, to follow all the content, guys, go right over to www.savaged. It's SAVAGED. So it's Savaged Unfiltered. unfiltered.com. And all the information is listed on the website, guys. I consider myself a shockcaster, not a podcaster, because I deliver the stuff that people are afraid to deliver. That's why I hence the name Shockcaster. I mainly deliver politics, but I do dabble in the entertainment with comedy and just general talk. And, if you have a story you want to come on, guys, feel free to hit me up, Savage Unfiltered Podcast at gmail.com. And I'd love to bring you on.
I'm just putting your link in right now. I'm just putting your link in the chat. All right. There's your links in the chat and your things on the screen. So this is what it looks like right here. If you're not at this page here, you're at the wrong page. Come back, try to find it again.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, and we'll do this again.
Yeah, you're welcome to jump in any time. It's kind of open. Like I said, it's open because I still have some stuff I have to do, but it's kind of open format, and whatever people want to talk about, you can just jump in and talk about.
All right, I got to get going because my producer's here with me and he's screaming at me, so I got to go.
I'm going to touch your camera. All right, your camera's out.